Never sleep on an idea and write everything down. Those are the two things I want you to take away from this video and enact on your life, in your life. The notepad is a tool, and you can use it to expand your mental capacity and your productivity by an incredible factor. By no means do I have all this figured out. I often get into places where I'm stuck or don't know what to do, but this notebook thing, writing things down, but this whole thing with the notebooks has seriously helped me. Your ideas are super important. You don't want to forget them. You want to remember them, and you want to expand on them. You want to build on them. You want to organize them and set them up in the right way. But your ideas aren't really worth anything. They're just ideas, and you need to create something with the idea. And if you put it on paper, that's the first step. Here's an example right off the bat. So I was coming up with this design, and basically what I was trying to do is spell Philly with the buildings and then a subway train. See how shitty that's how shitty the drawing is. After the computer work, there it is. The point is, basically, your writing doesn't have to be perfect, and my handwriting is even pretty bad. My handwriting is terrible. A lot of people can't even read my handwriting. It doesn't have to be good. A lot of times I'll sketch something, or a lot of times I'll write something out and take the page and just throw it away and just use that as a rough draft. I'll write a new page 3 times. Every project has its own page. Every idea, you should have a page just for scribbling ideas that come into your head, and then every idea that you scribble on that page, you start a new page. Every idea has its own specific page. You put that idea as the title on your page, and you fill that page with whatever. It doesn't have to be anything. And like I said before, if it's just terrible, you just scrap it and you start over. I've got so many ideas that I feel like I'm behind. I feel like I'm behind, but that's a good thing. It's a good feeling to feel like you're behind. You should most definitely write every single day. It should happen daily. Whatever comes into your mind, if it's a funny joke, if it's a story you remembered when you were a kid, write down all those things. Write down all those little stories, because it frees up you to do other things. If you have a lot that you're working on, put all that on paper, and then you can free your mind and you can focus on something else, and you can put that on paper, and you can work so much more efficiently. Getting back to the first point, never sleep on an idea. So that has a lot of meaning behind it. Essentially, whatever you're doing, you need to do it, and you need to do it until it's done, and then you need to do the next thing. And the bigger picture, beyond just what you're doing now, your bigger ideas. You can't forget about those ideas. You need to actually work towards those ideas. You can't just set big goals. You need to build the foundation, or the steps, or the staircase to get to those goals. And you can really easily do that on paper. And it might sound funny, but I literally did this. I wrote, how can I get $1 million? And I did that at the top of the page, and I kind of organized it. Well, I have so many sources of income, and I kind of split it up. Well, I have these many sources of income, and I would have to make this much from each source in this amount of time to make this much money. And I divided it, well, how, for each one of those sources of income, what would I have to do? And I figured it out, and honestly, it's not that crazy. It's not that crazy when you organize all the stuff on paper. You've got so much shit that you need to write down. You've got so much that you need to remember. You should write down your own calendar. You should have your own calendar written out every single month, and you should be trying to fill it every single day with something to do. Or at the end of the month, you should be able to look back at the calendar and have something to show for it. You can't just want something. You have to get it. But how do you get it? Well, you can figure it out if you write it down on paper. You really can. It takes practice, and you get better at it. It's something that you progress at. When you first start, it'll be hard and your stuff will be sloppy. It won't look as good as you want. You'll restart a lot of pages. But what that means is you're getting better. You're getting better at something, and what that something is communicating your ideas from your brain to your hand, to this pencil, to the paper, and from there it allows you to just do so much more. When I clock out or I just stop working for the day, I'm not stressed and I have no worries or things and thought on my mind because I've written everything down. I know what's there and it's on paper. I can go back and look at it. I don't have to remember it or recall it. And the more time you do it, the more you put into it, the better you get. When I started, it was frustrating and it was hard, and it's still hard, but it's getting better. It's getting easier. You gotta find your own way of organizing your papers and the way you write stuff down. You gotta figure that out for yourself. You gotta figure out what works for you. The first thing I would do is find the best setup for you. The best pen or pencil and the best notepad. You can find something that feels comfortable and feels good and it feels natural to make you want to write more. For what it's worth, these are my favorite pencils. These Bic ones that are all black with the different colored tips. Those are my favorite pencils. That's what I like to write with. And remember, just like that picture, I'm not a good writer. I'm really not. My handwriting is sloppy. It's not about how good you are. Basically, every notepad is a second brain. And this brain is dedicated to whatever I'm working on. And you can expand on that as far as daily, weekly, monthly, yearly, and even lifetime goals. I have lifetime goals written down, and you should too. If you write down a giant goal and try and figure out a path to get towards it, it's so much easier than just having an imaginary fantasy wish in your head that you hope happens one day. You should write it down and figure out a path to get it. Writing down your goals is crucial to figuring out how to accomplish them. You can reverse engineer anything on paper. If you write down whatever you want, if you want a house, a car, you want $1,000, whatever it is, put that goal and then slowly build how you can do that underneath of it. If you want $1,000, well, you got to do this, 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 and this, and this. But you should just do it. You should do it. You should start right now. You should start today. It'll be frustrating. That's how it was for me. Everything I wrote down just looked terrible. Everything I was writing down and trying to organize when I first started was really sloppy. And that's really a reflection of how my brain was working at the time. It was working all over the place. So, it was trying to do so many things. And now when I go to write stuff, it's a lot more direct and organized, and that's how my brain's working now, because I know what I need to do. I have a list of things to do, and on each thing on that list has its own page, and I go to that page and I know exactly what I need to do. But beyond just organizing your schedule and your calendar, your ideas, growing your ideas, putting your ideas on paper and turning them into more than just ideas, making them better and making them real, turning them into reality. You have to commit to a certain time period. You have to do it for 2 weeks at least. You have to just commit to trying to do it, make it a part of your routine. You'll feel so accomplished when you fill a couple pages of stuff. No great mind or great thinker accomplished anything without writing things down. It's all about what you make of it, and that stands true with anything. It's just a pencil and a paper, but you can turn it into a machine. You can turn it into productivity. You can turn it into money. You can turn it into anything. It's what you make of it. I know I didn't get all the points across that I wanted to make. This is just the introduction to more videos that I want to do, and I'll do them as I think of them. But this is really the first and most important thing. Never sleep on an idea. If you have an idea, do it right now. Go do it, whatever it is. If you have an idea, you should be doing it actively. You should have the next idea ready to go, and an idea ready to go after. You should have 10 ideas ready to go. You should have, you know, whatever you're thinking of right now, whatever you want to do it right now. Do it right now. Nothing's holding you back except yourself. You can build anything on paper. You can build a business on paper. I've done it multiple times. You can build a life on paper. I'm doing it actively right now, honestly. I have my goals on paper. My biggest goals: to buy a house, to have a, you know, my biggest desires in life. I have them on paper, and I have a written path road towards that goal, and I'm filling in those blanks, and I'm crossing them out slowly, and it's real progress. It's really happening. My goals are going to happen because I see it. It's real. It's right there on the paper. If you just want a house, or you want a car, whatever it is, whatever you want in your life, it's just a fantasy. It's a fantasy until you actually do it. And the first step is to put it on paper and work those steps into how you can make it possible. But this is what I have for you now. I really do hope that you start to write this stuff. And I try to reply to all the comments. I reply to most of them. You can always hit me on Instagram, all that good stuff. Appreciate you watching. Until next time, peace.